So I've been playing OverBlood, I guess.
Hey kid, psst, the one in the high heels.
What?
Wanna suck my dick?
What? No!
Wanna buy a game?
How the fuck did we go from sucking dicks to selling games? Okay, fine. What game?
Ah, a very special game. About Barry Burton waking up in a PS1 laboratory with those pods that Cloud came out of.
And the Tyrant, and Galarian's Child, and Crash, I guess, needing to finagle his way on out of there using blatant copy of Resident Evil.
But wait!
I say, interrupting myself, cheeky plot twist style. OverBlood was made by Riverhill, aka the people who, among creating the very influential progenitor to the Phoenix Wright's Hotel Dusks and Jake Hunters, called JB Harold, also made Dr. Hauser for the 3DO, a Japanese copy of the OG Alone in the Dark that made several additions, like slowly opening doors from a first-person view, dumb bullshit, and really not actually being any more similar to Resi than Alone was, but fuck you, they did the doors first. So if anyone's allowed to make a survival horror game in the mid-90s, then it might as well be them, and honestly, it ain't so much of an RE copy as it is legit trying to build off of it with its own ideas. Things aren't pre-rendered for a start, so cameras can be dynamic, in and out of cutscenes, and they also added more action-adventure elements like jumping and crouching in combination with tankies that utilizes stop and starting momentum for realistic cinematic effect. Really, if anything, it feels more like a 3D out of this world than a proper survival horror game, which is made clear on the very first screen just as well. Much like a certain other game of its ilk, Galarians, it starts you off by trapping you in a room with an insta-kill time limit above your head and zero explanation on what do, and more importantly, how do. Shit's rough, but it does this to make sure that you know what type of game this is. One about physical, set-piece based logic puzzles like crawling, pushing, and jumping over shit. And not necessarily about inventory puzzles, like sure, there's a few, but even that's made clear here by it showing you that you can't take examinations at face value and need to prod properly by hunkering down and close. Similarly, there's also two different characters that you can switch to on the fly using shoulder button who will have their own skills, so to say. Like Peepo, the robo-child who can hack computer terminals or uses extendo arm to grab shit Heather would have needed some clamps for. And there's also Amnesia Lady who harnesses the power of sexist female character contrivances. Too high for me to reach. Lady, I can see you fucking jump! And I will admit that all of this feels pretty fucking unintuitive at first, seeing as it's a vastly different mindset from, say, Resident Evil. As I alluded to, the puzzles feel a bit more like one-off set pieces in that there's virtually zero backtracking or preset universal logic, mainly leaning on the quick thinking end of the puzzle spectrum. Oh no, I'm freezing to death and need to find a switch. Or changing characters to quickly save the other's pickle, timed or otherwise. Or, oh no, the bridge is collapsing, gotta run. Stuff like that. This does beg the question of why you need a bar to show the timeliness in the first place. Like, it makes sense when you're freezing, but I think the actual floor leaving your feet conveys the situation well enough on its own. In either case, while this shit all sounds very exciting, I'm sure I would really struggle to call this an action-heavy game. The term set piece does not apply in the MGS Uncharted sense, but more so as a simple denotation that's shit self-contained. They're more like scenarios, I guess. Room with problem, new problem, next room. Which is a really neat way to pace things, not gonna lie. Sure, it takes away the eureka complexity of Resi addictiveness, but it replaces it with a constant sense of exploration and mysterious progression. And for a much slower atmospheric experience, that works out pretty well, what with repetition and backtracking often killing the vibes anyway. And so, I shall hit this with the mysterious Jogo Award. As for the most part, you're just kinda left to slowly explore the giant empty base as the music carpenters away in the background, stumbling across floating busty busts in the vaporwave room, and a few long-gone corpses fully embracing the rot. The atmosphere is best described as cold. The music is always brooding, using only airy attackless synths fading in and out in dissonant tones, with voice acting that sounds like a not quite terribly acted audio drama. It's comfy, cozy, and also kinda dull depending on who you ask. I for one though embrace the hokey vibes, especially cause of the music reminding me of late 70s, early 80s horror flicks. Hell, a fair few of those also take place in very glacial environments with appropriate pacing, and even the tone of voice and general recording quality is rather shiny and thingy. The use of fully three-dimensional low-poly graphics also works in its advantage, as it's set within an empty, abandoned underground lab and dude storage, so the lower detail of these crisp, clean polygons help convey the loneliness. I mean, I'd imagine that if it had the more cluttered look of the Resi pre-renders, then the base would have felt more recently lived in, but now you really do have no clue as to how long this place had been abandoned for, or if it was really all that heavily in use to begin with. What with not Barry finding out that he never was even meant to be released from storage at all, it's quite a strong setting that really does make you feel like you're exploring a giant empty facility. Also, side note, I adore its technology aesthetic. It's rather bulky and old-looking, with thick broken power cables, old glowy screens, wireframe graphics, and a hefty dose of Sony tape deckery. Basically, if one were to take this super official PS5 ad and turn it into a menu screen, then you'd more than likely get this. Oh. While the game is on Jogo tier and pretty hands-off exploration-wise, it doesn't really leave you in the dark much at all either. Well, apart from the first screen. But when Peepo can Peepo, he will beepo when you examine something, showing his eagerness to help, which is some pretty great subtle guidage and also a bit cute of characterization.
Bitch. What the fuck did you even just say?
In fact, the way that these two talk is totes adorbs overall.
So, you want me to go first, huh?
And Raspberry will also always inform you if holes can be bridged by jump, so you don't have to death drop to try, and the item descriptions describe themselves quite well as well. Like the oil, for instance, stating that it's meant to grease up machines and not to power shit, making the leap towards fixing the vibrating elevator much less of a stretch, and you can even save whenever, wherever, which is neat too. Where it kinda starts to fuck up though is with, say, the oil being found by duck examining 1 out of a million featureless brown things, or with finding very crucial items on a desk with nothing highlighting that said desk had anything on it. The same goes for the QuickTime events that you can't fucking see either. When this train car barrels at you, don't run. Why would you ever run? No. Just hit the examine button to drop down. Because fuck you, that's what it does now. And yeah, the fact that it has QTEs easily puts it a generation ahead of its time, but man, does it still stick out as unfair when shit kills you instantly. I guess that would also explain the lenient saves, only why they'd make you save by hitting circle and X to cancel save while having X be okay and circle be cancelled in all menus around it, thus frequently saving or backing out on accident with big seconds of wait in between is beyond me, and the stiff tankies can be a bit of a tit here and there too. I could go into the frame data on this one though. I mean, you can see these walk cycles for yourself, and if I ever turn before entering a door, then that's actually because bumping into stuff changes your trajectory. Or if you do it while running, it makes you auto-push, hence why you also see me pushing the air at random times like during this here bomb timer. I do love our main character, Raz. In a genre of dumb, macho, kinda meme-easy protagonist, the dude stands out by immediately and affectionately referring to his little robo-buddy as Peepo. treating him like a wee pet. And Peepo returns the favor by lovingly beeping back at him, showing either excitement when he returned or disappointment when they get separated during one of the many puzzles. It's a level of adorableness that I was not ready for. None of that really shows in any of the other character interactions, sadly. Raz meets a lady, for example, who just like him woke up here with amnesia, and instantly the saxophone music starts playing, fisting my hams with a passion, which is also how the plot manages the B-movie itself towards its contrived twists. Not gonna spoil what's what, as it's highly meme-worthy, and I was certainly invested. It's just that was only due to how well the mysteries were set up, and not because of how they're paid off. You see, everyone, and by everyone I mean Peepo and Lady, know more. But Peepo can't say because... and Lady won't say because mystery. After that, Raz finding out bits about this strange virus through all of the many computers, and it really turns the game into this slowly plotting body horror B and or C movie tale that drags you through the game nicely. Just don't mind the combat. Much like the movement, shit's about as good as it looks, so bad. But luckily, I can count all encounters on literally one single hand, though that don't make the game any more exciting either, I guess. OverBlood is very much an acquired taste that's vaguely poopy, but also sort of sweet when you let it.